Hello, good afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon here in the nation's capital, Abuja, and you're welcome to the Financial Literacy Program brought to you by the Bankers Committee. My name is Lolade Algbadi. This afternoon, you might as well call it the Entrepreneurs Masterclass on radio, and you surely won't be wrong. We're in the 5th week of the series, and let me tell you, we've had amazing conversations to help MSMEs not just stay afloat, but flourish, especially post-COVID. This afternoon, we have panelists joining us on our conversation. However, over the past 5 weeks, we've had a rich array of panelists from the government agencies, from financial service providers, and of course, our viewers have been major contributors to the conversations that we've had. Today, we're taking it up a notch, and here's why. Sometimes in business, we take it for granted that before any business strategy begins, an entrepreneur must conduct extensive findings to understand the target industry, the product or service, the market, the consumers, and the general environment. And this is true. But also, on a number of occasions, we see that a good number of businesses do fail. And they fail because sometimes they struggle to stay afloat when reality really hits. So what can we really do as MSMEs to stay afloat? What kinds of strategies can we employ to forward against the unexpected? Now, if you're an entrepreneur, you would want to listen really carefully this afternoon as we explore how to transition from being reactive to being proactive in business. Today, we have with us 3 panelists with vast knowledge in their various fields. They're on standby to arm us with the innovative strategies for business. But let me quickly say this. Our viewers should and can also be part of our conversation today. If you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you're still weighing your options, we'd really love to hear from you. Now, you can contact us on WhatsApp. No calls, please. If you want to contact us on WhatsApp, please send your questions to 0706 449 8228. I'll take that again. 0706 449 8228. We're on Instagram at bankerscommitteeflpe.com. Instagram on Bankers Committee FLPE. There's no .com because it's on Instagram. So I'll take that again. Instagram at Bankers Committee FLPE. We're also on YouTube at the Nigerian Bankers Committee. So let's go ahead to meet our panelists of the day. With us today, we have Dr. Paul Oluwipe, an Assistant Director at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Also with us, we have Dr. Opeyemi Ojeshino, Head, Personal and MSME Banking at Unity Bank. And we have Mr. Victor Okeke, 3Line Card Management Limited. You're all welcome.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Thank you, Lolade.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. So, gentlemen, let's jump right into it. I think I'll direct the first question to our regulator in the building so that he can set the tone as we delve deeper in how we can stay afloat. So, Doctor, if businesses are really to be proactive in Nigeria today, it's a given already that the government has created certain policies to help. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what these policies are and how they have really helped MSMEs in the past and what plans you have for them in the future?
Okay, thank you very much. From the Central Bank of Nigeria perspective, we have a lot of a very broad array of targeted initiatives or interventions that focus on scaling the capacity of MSMEs, small, medium, micro, small, and medium enterprises in the Nigerian landscape. And so, what we have, let me list them out. We have the, agricultural credit guarantee scheme fund. which you can always access by going to your bank, and the banks have the application forms, and they also do have some trainings that they will do for you to scale your capacity to be able to manage the funds. We even have, the targeted credit facility, which is being disbursed by the National Microfinance Bank. It's also an intervention of CBN in collaboration with NISOL. And what it does is to help businesses and individuals who have been impacted by COVID-19 to, enable them stay afloat, to be sustainable for now and in the future. And so it's also even at the very household levels. So, and you could, if you read the papers, people are benefiting from it, and they all go apply at the NISOL website. And, basically you can search Google and go to the NISOL website. It's open for every Nigerian, both household levels, individuals, and then businesses that could apply. There is also the Creative Industries Financing Initiative, targeted at very small, the creative sector of the economy, targeted at Nollywood, at small segments of creativity, IT people who are doing business in our Nigeria. We have 49 million MSMEs in Nigeria. 49 million as the last count that we surveyed with EFINA. And so these are basically, businesses. The Nigerian terrain is full of businesses, and we are active entrepreneurs, even at the very household level, at the very street level too. So what CBN recognizes is that credit is very key, to facilitating business and making them sustainable for the short term and the medium and long terms. And so we even have the Anchor Borrowers program targeted at farmers. So if you cultivate food, the food is the basis, the backbone of the economy, backbone of families and all of that. So we really need to scale the capacity of farmers to cater for the population, over 200 million people. We need food. And if we're importing it all over, it means we are draining foreign exchange, and we are really depreciating our currency. So we at the Central Bank of Nigeria created these facilities across various crop and value chains to try and stimulate its production and, curtail the drain of foreign exchange. And so if you're a smallholder farmer, for example, you could benefit from money allocated by the CBN to help you to be able to farm. There's no, it doesn't matter how small or how big. You can even come in collectives. You could be a smallholder farm, but you join collectives and then just go to your bank, ask of the Anchor Borrowers program, and they will be able to give you information. They have application forms. We even have entrepreneurship development centers that could train you to manage your money, manage your finance, and help you to keep your books and be able to, build your capacity before you even benefit from them. These are just a tip of the iceberg. We could talk about it more.
Thank you so much, Doctor. In fact, as you were talking, I was already getting excited because you actually told us what to do as listeners and where to go. And in mentioning what to do and where to go, of course, you talked about the banks. So I'm looking at you, Dr. Okwe, now. And I'm going to ask you, moving a little bit away from just talking about credit. We need to be in good shape before we can access credit as business owners. So, Dr. Okwe, being an expert in this area, please give us some advice about how MSMEs today should look before they even approach their banks.
All right, thank you, Olalade. That's a very interesting question. Interesting because in my travels around the country, whether I'm in Portiscombe today or I'm in Ikodantoin or Bomosho, or I find myself in a village in Katsina, what I found out is that SMEs behave alike. The challenge that most SMEs have is in the area of capacity building. Capacity building because to succeed, MSMEs must know their business, know their competition, know their industry, know what government regulations are, and without having this at the tip of their fingers, you will find out that they will continue to run in circles. MSMEs must be fully grounded in knowing what their industry is like, for example, understanding what regulation is driving that industry. And I like what Doctor said around putting forth or forward interventions, for MSMEs. The challenge is to fully, utilize this by these MSMEs. Unfortunately, while some have done, well in, taking hold of information that is available to them. For MSMEs to move forward, apart from the knowing that I've just talked about, MSMEs must, arm themselves with utilizing data. And data come in various forms. It comes in various forms, things that we see, happening around. I'll give you an example. So in Lagos State, for example, a few years ago, the government came up with a policy, banning the use of motorbikes for transportation. There was an organization that at that time had spent some money to put forth, that venture. But they had to do something to look at, okay, what was logistics about? What's it about in Lagos? How do people buy things, and then how do they transport it to other people? And they had to transit from that to a logistic and forwarding company using those motorbikes. And so they wouldn't have been able to do that without data. One other thing that MSMEs should do is to utilize feedback. Okay, because feedbacks are always churned out to us right, left, and center. Customer feedback is important because it helps you not only to innovate, but to know how to take the right decision. Let me stop there.
Yes, no, yeah. I got really sucked in. No, some fantastic points there. Data, being able to use feedback, that's very good, Doctor. And I'm going to move slightly away from the focus on financial literacy now and move into what we call agency banking. Now, because, Mr. Victor, I'm looking at you, because some Nigerians might not be used to what we call agency banking, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is and what's happening currently in the Nigerian landscape?
Okay, thank you, Lolade. So the drive for agency banking was primarily instituted to ensure that individuals, everyone, wherever you are, have access to quality financial services. And that initiative is being driven by CBN alongside other partners such as SANEF, which we partner with, and with other super agents and mobile money operators. So the goal is to make sure that wherever you are, irrespective of your distance from a bank, that you have access to quality financial services.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Victor. Before we move on from you, please, what's SANEF? Can you say what that is and explain what that is,
Okay,
please?
so SANEF stands for Share Agent Network Expansion Facility. It's an organization instituted by CBN since 2019, with its primary focus on driving expansion of agent networks across Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I love the fact that you ended with CBN, because I'm going to go back to CBN now. So, Doctor, really, the CBN has done a lot. It has created policies, it has created initiatives and programs to drive, the access to credits to Nigerian MSMEs. But principally, CBN over the past few years has been focused on driving Nigeria's literacy and inclusion rates. Could you tell us a little bit about the programs that have happened, and also how prospective MSMEs and current MSMEs can access the free programming that's out there?
Okay, we have basically the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which was developed and begun to be implemented in 2014. We also have the financial literacy framework that is aimed at really lowering, the levels of illiteracy in terms of financial illiteracy, trying to stimulate literacy in our landscape. It's not about education, formal education, but knowing the books, your finance books, knowing how to invest, knowing how to read your mobile phone, knowing how to use your mobile phone to transact. We're also talking about digital literacy. Okay, and so we are really doing a whole lot. Also, what my colleague here mentioned around SANEF, the Shared Agent Network Expansion Facility, we had a target of expanding agents, super agents in Nigeria, agents in Nigeria up to 500,000 by the end of 2020. But today, we're talking about 700,000, because as at November, as we speak, as at December, we exceeded the 500,000 goal together with SANEF. We are all really driving towards access to finance. Now, currently, our inclusion level stands at 64.1. We need to drive up to 95% by 2024, and we want to scale it, and we are really doing a lot through groups to try and drive access to finance.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, there's so much, Doctor. We're going to come back because I feel that we need some more information from you and the CBN as to how people can begin to access the programs that they need to. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going on a short break, but we'll be back very soon. Thank you.
Are you an SME or business manager trying to find your feet post-COVID? Listen up. The Bankers Committee, in keeping up with its mandate for financial inclusion, presents a 5-week financial literacy radio program to equip you with the skills to thrive in a post-COVID economy. The radio series will focus on SMEs in agriculture, trade and commerce, technology, diaspora remittance, manufacturing, and the export industry, and will feature experts from deposit money banks, development agencies, and successful entrepreneurs who will provide capacity building support for SME growth post-COVID. Weekly topics to be discussed include diaspora remittances and its impact on the Nigerian economy, sustainable economic growth through value addition and exportation, growing the economy through value chain, growth strategy for business post-COVID, proactive strategies for business in recovery. Join the conversation by tuning in every week on Thursday by 4:30 to 5 p.m. on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Bankers Committee, enhancing your business growth.
Hello, everyone. We're back. Okay. I think this second part is going to be really exciting for a number of reasons. First of all, we're already getting comments in and questions from our listeners, and that tells us that we're saying the right things and we're getting across to the listeners. So fantastic. I'm going to come back to Dr. Okwe now. In this current financial and economic climes that we're in, we see that all businesses have been shaken through the COVID pandemic. Even banks, the large banks, the small banks, everyone, all sorts of businesses have had to re-strategize and think. Today's discussion focuses on moving from being reactive to being proactive. As a seasoned financial service professional, can you give us some advice, some business advice on how to keep our businesses afloat in this season?
All right, thank you, Lodi. I'd like to say that the difference between success in running business and failure is anticipation, preparation, and execution. I think the challenge most SMEs have, and that's from my interaction with them, is because a lot of people go into business just because they need to stay afloat. MSMEs, first of all, must have a vision for their businesses. There has to be a reason why that business is in place. So is there a need to meet? If there is a need to meet, how do you meet that need? In the event that there are eventualities that come up, how do you mitigate them? So I would say that MSMEs must plan effectively by anticipating for eventualities and then plan for them and also execute solutions to them. So I think sometimes the part where they anticipate is there, but the part of executing and recovering is always an issue. And one of the reasons is because when you do not, operate an agile system, so to speak, your ability to start and to run from, initiation through conception to, go to market, it becomes a problem. The other thing is because SMEs have not, and I'm going to use the word have not because sometimes you think they have not been adequately taught because some don't want to be taught because they believe they know it. However, to a large extent, I need to be sincere that from last year up until now, we've seen some interesting and dramatic improvement in how SMEs have been able to recover. Not fully, but they've done appreciably well from the records that are available to us.
Fantastic. Okay, so it's not all bad news, is what I hear you say.
No, it's not.
And we're grateful for that. And I think most businesses, from also what we hear you say, if you take the right steps, you will come out of the slump.
True.
Looking at Victor now, For prospective agents, what advice can you give in terms of keying into the agent network? So if I'm someone who's interested in becoming an agent, what are some steps I should be taking? And what support do organizations like yours give such business people in terms of starting up and staying afloat?
Okay, thank you very much. Like my colleague, Dr. Paul has said earlier, while a lot has been done currently, we have about 700,000 agents, there's still space to do a whole lot more. So the agent banking business still has a lot of potentials for those who want to get into the business. And the first advice, I would take a lead from what Dr. Obe has said earlier. For any person that wants to get into the business is to get into the business with a vision in mind, and then make sure you have structures in place. Once you do that, we have different available options for support. We have available resources for training. For instance, we have the Sabi Money platform, which is championed by SANEF and the CBN, which aims at driving financial literacy amongst agents. It keeps on training agents on how to manage their books, have records. For instance, I think Dr. Paul talked about access to intervention funds and all that. I'm not sure you can access that if you don't have proper structures, if your books are not in place, you don't have records, you don't know what your turnover is, you can't have access to that. So it's important that you put structures in place and take necessary lessons and trainings like the ones that have been made available by Sabi Money and SANEF. And also, you can always reach out to other platforms, like for instance, Trayline. We also have training platforms, where we get to educate agents on the business before we onboard them and provide them with the necessary resources they need to come on board.
Fantastic. Okay, so hopefully for prospective agents out there, that's it. That's what you have to do. Now we've been getting some questions, so I think we should try and make some time to answer those questions. Adaobi Chukwu from Enugu State has said the following: for a small business startup, how best do I prepare or strategize in the midst of inflation? Dr. Okwe, I'm looking at you because I think this question is for you. So as a small business just starting up, how best can Adaobi Chukwu from Enugu State prepare or strategize in the midst of inflation?
Okay, thank you for that question, Adaobi. Now, I would like to say that there are things you can change, there are things you can't change. For the things you cannot change and that are beyond your reach, you must look at how to move. So first of all, I would like to ask you, do you understand the industry where you're in? That's number one. Number two, do you have a structure in place? Number three, how well have you been able to use the opportunities that have been presented to you? I'll say one thing. I keep going back to data. Data for me is money. When data is effectively used, I believe that it can actually swallow money. However, considering where we are right now economically, you may not be able to do anything about that, but you can improve on yourself and your business through capacity building, through understanding your business, through constantly innovating and using big data, to run that business.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ope. Next, we have a question from Kayode Adesua. Kayode is asking, I'm a petty trader living in the West, precisely Ekiti State. I need loans to boost my business. Please guide on the right procedure. I think I'll let Dr. Ope off the hook now and maybe ask Dr. Paul to guide us. So he's a business owner. He needs a loan to boost his business. What should he do? What's the right procedure?
Depending on the size of your business and the size of the loan you need. If your business is micro or small, you need to go to a microfinance bank in your state. There are unit microfinance banks in your state. You should explore. They are littered all over the place. Working in CBN, because we license them, I know Ekiti State has quite a number of microfinance banks. So please, and there's also the National Microfinance Bank. So there should be one in Ekiti State to approach them. And you could also approach, get the intervention facilities from CBN. They are also loans. They are not free. They are also loans. So they are part of the loans that you can get. But they are cheaper loans than you can get from your commercial bank. Sorry, Dr. Okwe.
Thank you, sir. No, we love the transparency, and I think the listeners are also responding to our openness and honesty. Thank you so much for that. And just to paddy up on what the doctor has just mentioned, I think at the root of it, regardless of whether you have a great business idea or not, before you approach your financial institution, you should also be in order, which is where financial literacy comes in, business planning comes in, to ensure, and like Dr. Okwe has said to us, you understand the industry and the landscape that you want to move into. Know your numbers, know your data, do your research. And hopefully, if you have everything in order, you can approach successfully. Now, it's unfortunate that we only had 30 minutes for this show, but we are wrapping up. And on that note, we would like to thank our awesome listeners for joining us on this 5-week journey. It has been enlightening and amazing for us all. We would like to thank the studio manager, Abubakar Yusuf, the producer, Aundoemba Orin, engineers on duty, Roslyn Aduku and Warji Joseph. Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone.
Are you an SME or business manager trying to find your feet post-COVID? Listen up. The Bankers Committee, in keeping up with its mandate for financial inclusion, presents a 5-week financial literacy radio program to equip you with the skills to thrive in a post-COVID economy. The radio series will focus on SMEs in agriculture, trade and commerce, technology, diaspora remittance, manufacturing and the export industry, and will feature experts from deposit money banks, development agencies and successful entrepreneurs who will provide capacity building support for SME growth post-COVID. Weekly topics to be discussed include diaspora remittances and its impact on the Nigerian economy, sustainable economic growth through value addition and exportation, growing the economy through value chain, growth strategy for business post-COVID, proactive strategies for business in recovery. Join the conversation by tuning in every week on Thursday by 4:30 to 5 p.m. on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Bankers Committee, enhancing your